Welcome to Abundant Feminine, a podcast of my fellow girls where we talk about entrepreneurship, manifesting, and just keep things real as fuck.
Yeah.
I am joined with a super special guest today who is an amazing healer and who is helping women all over the islands, Temar.
Aloha. Temar Marte with Punani Steam.
Yes, Punani Steam changed my life.
Yes, I'm so excited to talk about it.
Yes, I think that Punani steaming is becoming a little bit more mainstream where more people know about it, but I definitely didn't hear about it until I met you.
Yeah.
So how that went actually was we were at a barbecue and sitting next to each other, and somebody actually introduced me to Temar and was like, she owns a business too. Like threw us together like
That's
that.
right.
And I'm like, what do you do?
And I was like, so I do vaginal steaming, yoni steaming, which I know a lot of people still are kind of unfamiliar with because it's still new to the United States. But it's becoming a thing, and I'm so excited to be here and talk about it and share with you all.
Yes, I was so intrigued by it when she said that because I think a lot of girls deal with different things going on down there with her that it's just like you don't really know what to do. It's like,
Right.
do you call your gynecologist? So when you told me about that, I was so intrigued off the bat. I'm like, please tell me more. Like, what does this experience look like?
Yeah, so basically, steaming is a process in where you're sitting over a pot of a specific tailored blend of herbs, depending on whatever issues you may be going through. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be that you have menstrual imbalance issues. I am so excited to talk more about how really it helps with also energetically for us as women and manifesting as well.
Yes. Oh my goodness. All of it is amazing,
Yeah.
but I love that aspect too. But we'll definitely get into that. But the experience itself, like something that she told me at the barbecue that I'm like, because I just was so intrigued about what this is. Like, am I sitting on a table with like my legs open and then you're like steam gunning it in? And she's like, I don't see anything. You're literally
Yeah.
like sitting covered the whole time. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, it's so new to me that I was just really intrigued by everything about it.
Yeah, and I think that, in dealing with anything with the vaginal area is already like, what? I don't know. We're not supposed to talk about that. Like, let's not talk about it, right? Our society is so about like keeping your private parts private, and we don't talk about it. We're not. There's anything that you're dealing with or that's going on for you, that's like your problem, and something's really wrong with you. So it's like we don't want to talk about these type of things or expose them, right? But like when we get with our girlfriends, especially like I feel like when you're younger as well too, and you're just becoming a woman, you're getting into your own when you have your first period. It's like, oh my God, I'm on that time. And remember having like that one girlfriend at least who's always complaining about how she has cramps.
Yeah.
Or her, like how bad it is for her, or how she's like missing certain events or certain group parties or whatever, because it's that one friend who's like always on her period or something.
Yes.
Right? And it's always like shamed. It's always like body shamed more than it is something that we get to talk about in like a healing manner or how we actually can help ourselves. And that's also due to what gynecology is. And the fact is like when we first go to see a gynecologist, typically it's going to be about the time and when we're getting into maybe having sex. And it's just all related to, and that you need to be on birth control to not have a baby, basically.
Yeah.
And that's what we get to, and that's like our whole women's health in like really getting to learn about our bodies.
Yeah.
It's more about what we don't want to do and how, oh, you don't want to get pregnant. Oh, you don't want to, oh, watch out, you're a hoe if you're having sex or something, It's like all these stigmas, right? And then getting to learn about vaginal steaming and how it's actually a healing modality. And it's really going to help you to support all these different menstrual issues. But beyond that, energy-wise and how you can go into ceremony with it. And just like there's so many beautiful aspects that are just so still taboo.
I want to dive deeply into the whole energetic side of it, but before we get into that, would you mind listing off a few things that might help people health-wise? Like, I know cramps for sure.
Yeah, so that's like the number one thing usually that I see with women overall is how much in their next period, their next bleed, that they have less cramping, or like they say that their flow was just a lot easier, or it wasn't as heavy. Also, it can help for women with fertility. I've had now at least 25 plus clients get pregnant after even just one steam too. Some of them, I'm like, what is in the water? It's herbs. It's nature's medicine.
That's so awesome. And I think that fertility is something that people can really struggle with, and I think having a baby is something that lots of people desire so much, and so it can be so painful and horrible to go through not being able to produce that, when it's like also society's almost like, as a woman, it's like your job to have a baby. But also in that sense, I remember when you first told me that, I'm like, oh shit, like, okay, wait, so do I have to like be extra careful? But then you told me about like tracking your cycle, which is like, I've heard of her, but I like never really knew. So do you mind going into that a little bit?
Yeah, so our menstrual cycle is our one time of the month in which is actually our uterine cleanse, and where it's a shedding of the uterine lining and the egg that didn't get fertilized as well too. So having more of like just an understanding about your period is going to have you have more of an understanding of when to track your cycle, when the time is that you can actually get pregnant, because so many ladies or so many young girls are told like in a way that they can just get pregnant at any time.
I felt like that for all my life, pretty much.
Right?
It seems like it's so easy to get pregnant, and it's like, you better be watching out every time you do it. Yeah,
and it's like the one thing that really sticks with you as a young girl as well too, and that, oh, now it's your responsibility. Like, you're the one who's going to be pregnant, so it's your issue, it's your deal, so we're just going to put everyone on birth control. Yeah. Which, for a lot of girls, they may already be having, like, menstrual imbalances that's only going to make it worse, actually, by taking birth control, because birth control, it is a synthetic hormone that shuts down your natural fertility and your hormones and treats your body as a disease and as an illness.
Crazy. And so how many days out of the month can you get pregnant?
There's only a time period of about, it's 5 to 7 days.
Okay.
Out of a whole month.
That is such a crazy thing to think about, and so different than what's perceived, I feel like. And it's like, it just makes everything seem less scary. Especially if you're like just paying attention and you know which 5 days it is. Right.
Yeah. And so in that time frame, it's actually like, so you first have your bleeding phase. That's your menstrual time, and where that's your period. And so when a lot of times too, people get confused on period versus cycle. Mm-hmm. Your cycle is the whole phase. Okay. A cycle is typically a means of 4. So just like within the moon, it has 4 phases that it goes through. Your inner period is also your moon time as well too. So when like a lot of women, they'll say, "Oh, I'm on my moon right now." It means that they're on their bleeding time of their phase.
That would be like the full moon.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, actually, it's the new moon is when you bleed. So newness, it's dark, right, as well too. So the new moon is the time in when you're setting intentions, when you're making those goals. It's also for going within as well too, you know, and that's how you're creating as well, that manifestation. So your time of when you're bleeding, it's actually your new moon.
Wow.
Yeah, doesn't that give you so much more power to think about, like, as a woman? Like, oh my gosh, my time in which I bleed is my inner new moon. It's the time when I set intentions. It's the time when I'm able to actually manifest.
Okay, shut up.
Yeah, okay, like now we get to honor it.
I didn't even really connect that, because Temar actually has taught me a lot about the moon, and it kind of worked out in perfect alignment. I guess we didn't even mention this part, but so after that barbecue, I'm like, girl, like I was just intrigued, and so we're following each other on Instagram, and I believe you reached out to me like, hey, if you ever like want to do photos in exchange for some steams, like I'd be open to that. And I'm like, girl, I was thinking, like, I was thinking about, like, oh, maybe I could shoot for her, and then I can try this thing out.
Yeah.
So it was totally perfect alignment that you said that, because I'm, like, jumping on it, like,
Yeah,
yes,
you
like,
did.
sign me up, like, let me know, let's schedule a date right now. So, yeah, but, so while I started my steaming process, I feel like it was perfectly aligned, because I was going every 2 weeks, because, I have had some things that I wanted to, like, take care of. And so she just recommended that if I went a little bit more frequently, especially since I had a good amount to use.
Yeah, you have 12 steers. And I think you're almost at that. You've done like 11 so far now.
I literally love this shit, guys. But so the first time I went was on the new moon, and then the next time I went was on the full moon.
Right.
And I'm like, whoa, this is so cool. And I obviously, the moon has so much power, so I knew that it would affect energetically manifesting and stuff, which you guys know I love. And I just didn't know how, though.
Yeah.
And so you taught me that new moon time is intention setting time, and to think that when we're bleeding, that's our own, like, inner new moon time. It's like, I just learned something new.
Yeah.
I think we're all going to be learning a lot of new stuff today, honestly. Tamar is like this little sunshine ball of knowledge.
Yes. Yeah. So also at the same time, too, in the, so there's 4 phases that you're going through within your cycle. And so there's also 4 phases related to the moon. And actually, that's how women would track their menstrual cycle, is by the moon. By what phase of the moon is. Because they didn't have, like, calendars back in the day. You know?
You're so right.
So, yeah. Actually, and menstrual comes from moon.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. So, back in the day, before, like, there was birth control kind of switching things up, was everybody on the same cycle?
Not on the same, but was really related to either you were bleeding next to the new moon or next to a full moon.
Okay.
Most women were.
Wow, interesting.
And most women will start to get linked with the moon as well, too. Once after steaming. Or once just even starting to acknowledge and, you know, give more attention and appreciation to her and the time that you go through, and supporting her with different tools that you can use as well, too. Like, steaming is my favorite.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's all related, though. But, you know, like, for us as humanity, we came through the womb. So we should be taking care of the womb, because the womb is what is providing us life.
Absolutely, and providing new life, too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so new moon time is the time for setting the intention.
On your time of when you're bleeding.
Yes, and also in general, like the actual new moon time, too. Okay, so, and then what do you feel like, or what is the full moon time good for?
So your full moon is actually your ovulation time. That's when you're feeling flirty, you're illuminated. So here's the phases. So, and how they relate. You have your time of which you're bleeding. So you start in counting from day 1 is when your full bleed is. Your full bleed of your first day of your period. Okay, is so day 1.
Sorry to get so specific, but I need to know.
Yeah.
When you say that, is it like if you're spotting for a day, you don't count that one?
No, it's like a bleed. You have to have a full bleed.
She's flowing.
Yeah. She's there, she's letting you know. She's purging. She's doing her thing. That's your day 1. Okay. So you're going to mark that on your calendar as your day 1. And then you're just going to keep continuing to count. And usually women's periods are about like day 1 to 5. But once you start steaming regularly, they'll become like, mine are now about 3 days or 4 days is now typically what. And that's actually all the time, and it should be. And so if it's anything more than 5 days, there's going to be probably some imbalances that are going on. Because she only needs to shed just what has accumulated for that 1 month. But if you're overbleeding, then you probably have stagnation, and where especially if you have dark brown blood. And like, these are things that we just don't even get to talk about or acknowledge or know, right? Yeah. Like, literally the gynecologist will tell you, oh, that's normal. If anything is of a consistence for one person, then that's considered normal to them. Okay. By definition, in medical, in the medical industry. Anything that's consistent for one person, that's normal. Even though it's not necessarily. No, it's not. It's not normal that your blood should be brown whatsoever. Because when is blood ever brown? When it's been sitting It's never like, and also in blood is mostly made out of water, so it also should be flowing.
I see. It shouldn't be so like chunky kind of.
No, or like paste as well too. Paste blood,
Yeah.
if you have like a lot of dark brown paste blood, that's not good as well too. That's old residue from previous periods that didn't get flushed out. And that's actually why a lot of women have cramping. And it's such a common issue. Yet if we knew that if you just steamed, it's actually going to help to loosen all of that up. Within your next period, you're going to see it come out the next couple periods. You know, so much less cramps, next to none.
That's so awesome, especially for the people that just struggle with cramps, because you're so right. There is always a girlfriend that's like in bed, like, ugh.
Yeah.
But okay, so tell me first. I'm like, we're kind of all over the place. Sorry, guys, but it's exciting and also just.
And I want to go through the phases so you understand.
Things that she says sparks me to remember something. But really quick before you go into the phases, tell me what steaming does that actually makes it like come out, or like, you know what I mean?
Totally. So what the steam is doing is actually taking the benefit of the herbs that it's been steeping in, then with you sitting on top of a throne is what I like to call it. That's what my chairs are, at least. And then I do have box steams as well too. But you're basically sitting on a box with an opening, kind of like a toilet seat, and right underneath that, you're going to have a pot of warm herbs. And for me, I have it on an electric system, so you're continuously being able to get heat as well too, which it feels amazing.
Yes, true that.
She has never felt so good. And then the benefit is in the steam is going to carry the herbs that it's been steeping in. The benefit of those herbs travel through the vaginal canal, through the cervix, and into the womb and uterus. And that's what's so amazing, is it's being utilized in a way where it's the most powerful cleansing agent, yet it's so gentle. Like typically, especially as well too, when we're thinking of anything vaginal, we're like, oh, ouch. We're almost like covering ourselves already, because we know that anything that's done to us really it's like invasive. It's a lot. It's just things kind of being pushed into you, clamps being put in you, you know? We're so used to, like, in a way, just things being shoved in us and it being kind of violent in a way, you know? And so the process of the steam, and it's so gentle, yet it's the most powerful cleansing agent, is unbelievable.
Yeah, because I think that you kind of explained this to me the first time that I was steamed.
Yeah.
And that... So once that steam travels up, since it's heated, it's raising, with gravity, it kind of like pulls it back down to kind of cleanse what was in there too, like grabbing all of the yucky stuff that's like not helping us and then like pulling it back out.
Absolutely, yeah. So the steam, because it's so powerful, it's able to push through that vaginal canal and the cervix and go within the womb, which nothing else can get there. It's
she's deep.
Yeah. Steam can get in there though. Nothing else can get there unless you're using tools, and by that time it's already really invasive, it's not comfortable, and it's definitely not in a healing manner.
Yeah.
And so that the steam can reach all the way into these cracks and crevices and places we physically can't get to. What it does is anything that the steam is actually touching, it's going to liquefy and drain. So, like, if you had glue in a glass jar and you let it dry for at least, like, 24 hours or so, like, nothing is going to be able to remove it. You can chip away at it, you can try anything you want, but it's really hard to remove something, right, that's so adhesive and it's really stuck and lodged in there. And that's how it can be for, like, old residue, fibroids, women who go through endometriosis. There's so many different diagnoses, yet there isn't a lot of solutions. And what's so amazing about steam, just the steam alone, even without the herbs, anything that it touches, it liquefies and drains.
Yeah, the glue metaphor is like, I'm picturing the glue just like melting off with the steam, because it like makes so much sense.
It would heat it up, and then it would just fall out. Yeah. All together, though, too, as well.
Very cool. So that's what makes it kind of cleanse all that was there, so that when you have your next period, it's just getting that like one cycle of blood out, instead of where it's like has this build up from your whole life since you started your period when you're 13. Yeah,
especially if you're on birth control. Especially if you're on birth control and you haven't had periods. First of all, being on birth control, you're not even having a real period. That's not a natural period, because it's a controlled substance period. If you have the IUD, that's something you put within you, or it can be hormonal as well too, and then you're doing oral birth control. It just depends. Either way, it's a body manipulation.
I guess that's so true when you think about it like that, because I know that lots of birth controls are like things that girls are like really excited about, because
Right.
straight up, it can be a little bit annoying to deal with your period. And especially since nobody has the knowledge of these things and that we really need it and it's
Yeah.
helping us to get rid of it. People are like stoked, like, yeah, I didn't get my
Yeah.
period for like 6 months.
I know.
So to
And I'm
think
like,
about
oh
it
my
in this way, that like all of that old stuff is just kind of like stuck up there, is like, okay, I can see why that could be problematic.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. But please go into the cycles now.
Okay.
I sent you on a total tangent.
I know. But that's a lot in which I do deal with, is really mainly first women want to see the results with the period, because it's always such an issue, and that either they're not having one or it's just too much. So either way, Steam really helps with that, and I'm so excited. So basically, our hormones are what control us as women, in our body. And so you need to have your period to also help to regulate and balance your hormones. Every time you have your period, you're also releasing hormones. And so there's a cycle that it has to do. So you have your bleeding phase. That's your inner new moon. That's also winter time. So it's also related to seasons. You're going through different seasons through your cycle in 1 month. We're going through so much. That's why we're crazy women. And you think that like, oh, it's just I'm on that time. No, your hormones are fluctuating. You're going through changes. And so it's really important to understand this so that you can better work with yourself and those cycles and those changes that you're going to be going through. So you have your bleeding. That's your day 1, and you're going to continue to count. Then we go into our next phase, and that's when our egg is getting developed into where it can be fertilized, and that's our follicular phase. I have to say it slow. And that's our phase in which it's our springtime. And I believe that's the waxing moon as well too. It's the next phase after your new moon. So that's the time in which it's okay to have sex right after your period. So that's basically your second week. So that's about day 7 to day 12 or so. And then you're going into your ovulation time, and that's the time in which you're able to get pregnant. So it's going to be 2 weeks after your time of bleeding.
Okay.
Yeah, and the way in which you can also tell by your ovulation phase is in that your mucus is going to change as well too. So where you're going to have, if you were to touch your discharge, you would have some elasticity, and where it would be able to span between your fingers. Otherwise, any other time, it would just break.
Okay.
So that's one way to tell. So at that time, that's when you want to either be careful in not trying to get pregnant.
Or really go in if you are trying to get pregnant.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's one thing too, that like a lot of people, that they actually don't understand when they are trying to have a baby. Like they're just trying to have sex at any time. And so some of the times for the women who have a hard time getting pregnant, they're trying at the wrong time as well too, and then it's like they're getting defeated by that.
Yes.
But yeah.
And then energetically, I'm sure that's not helping either.
No, and putting stress on your body is a huge thing too for us as women, in which then our hormones will react, and we'll see it in different ways, either in breaking out or just certain things like that too. Stress is a huge factor in related to our overall well-being as women.
Yeah.
Which
I think
know
every person.
Yeah.
Stress is like the worst.
It's a hard one to deal with, and it gets really frustrating, especially for people that I see going through fertility.
Yeah, I bet.
So we have the menstrual time, that's your inner new moon. Then you have springtime, that's your follicular time in which your egg is developing. Then you go into ovulation. That's your full moon. That's when you're illuminated, right? Because the full moon is when everything is bright and shining, and like everything's glowing and you're glowing. So your ovulation time, it's your summertime. And that's when you're flirty, you're feeling yourself, it's sexy time, right? You're feeling it.
Yeah. And so on the energetic side, what is that full moon time good, whereas the new moon is for intention setting?
Yeah, it's interesting in that the full moon is about release.
Okay.
So it's releasing like what no longer serves you, because it's illuminating your shadows.
Okay.
As well too. So it's illuminating those things in which you're like, oh, I can probably do this a little different, or that relationship I can walk away from now. It's okay. that friendship, it didn't work out exactly the way I thought, but it's all right. Like, it's your time to purge what you need to so you can bring in new.
Ooh, I like that.
Right?
So just releasing any negativity in your life,
Mm-hmm.
just being open that there can be another way if something
Right.
isn't working out exactly as you want or thought it would.
Yeah, and I feel like, it's summertime, like you're willing to try new things, you're out there, you're ready, right?
Cool.
And that's your ovulation time.
Yes.
So that's how it works in with your seasons, it works in with the moon phases, and then it works in with your overall menstrual cycle as well too.
Yeah, okay, so tell me the last one and then let's get into manifesting.
Yeah, and so the last phase is in after your ovulation time, and then that's going to be your fall. And that's when you're kind of like preparing yourself for winter time. And winter time is your period time.
Okay.
So your fall time
is PMS week.
Yes. Basically, that's how we know it, right?
Uh-huh.
It's the time in which the egg is seeing if it did get fertilized.
Okay.
And if it didn't, then you go back into bleeding. And then you have the cycle all over again.
Yes.
So that's what we're going through every month as women.
That totally makes sense, and I love being able to look at it in that way instead of just like, oh, my period's coming, this is the worst. Like,
it's a preparation time.
Yeah, it's very, very cool, everything you're saying. And I just wanted to mention, since PMS came up, ever since I started steaming, I feel like my PMS is substantially less gnarly.
Yeah.
I just gotta be real.
Yeah.
I got it from my mama. And PMS week is a scary time for all men in our life.
Yeah.
And in general, we just feel like crap too. That's why we're being not our nicest self.
Right.
But since steaming, I know that I'm not perfect, but I feel like it's just way less horrible, and like I feel so like sad and annoyed and stuff. I feel way better during that week.
Yes, and I think that, as well too, in that when you do start to do something in that which is honoring you and honoring that time as well too, you're looking at it differently. Your perspective has definitely changed, and where now it's like, okay, just before my period time, that's the week in which I need to be preparing myself because I'm going to be going through this bleed, because the one time in which we get to have this uterine cleanse, and I want you to look at it like that we get to, it's a privilege to be able to have the period, because so many women don't, and there's a lot of other issues to that. And that was something actually that I personally was first going through, is I wasn't having a consistent period, and it just made for more of a hormone imbalance for me. Mm-hmm. And so being able to have this one time in which your uterine is doing its cleanse, you want to help to support it.
So interesting, and such a cool thing always to see a different perspective of something. And just be grateful for something that might be a thing that in the past you're like, ugh, about.
Right.
To be like, actually, you're really doing work for me.
Yeah, she really is.
Yeah.
The rest of your body has frequent cleanses that it's able to do. When you urinate, that's a frequent bladder cleanse. When you have bowel movements, that's a frequent bowel cleanse. But you only get this one time a month.
Yeah, I see you. Okay, so also I know that when I first came to steam, something that I especially loved was that you are totally a full believer in manifesting, because it totally works, and you helped me to understand how steaming was helping me in that way. So can you explain that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. Most of the population is women. So for the majority of the population is going through menstrual cycles, and in the life is created through this as well too. And that's how we got here, really. So by steaming as well too, it just really helps to clear that space, that womb space in which life is created. Even if we're not pregnant at this moment, still that womb space is held in that it will hold, it will store energy, whatever traumas we may have gone through in life. It can, even regardless if it's sexual, if it's emotional, whatever it is, we still will probably be holding on to it as women, not realizing we are, especially to generational trauma. We don't realize that we carry as well, and that gets passed down from womb to womb.
Okay.
So there's so much. So energetically, for us as women, our true authentic aspect of who we are, it comes from the womb. Your creativity, your expression, who you are as a woman, it's all coming from your womb space.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And so the steam, similarly to how it can cleanse physical things, you feel like it can also cleanse those traumatic experiences and whatever is like not positive energy in there.
Yes, absolutely. And I do use white sage as well too in my herb blends. That's in my cleansing blend specifically, and that will help with energetic cleanse as well too. Just like you would burn sage, you burn sage to cleanse your house or you cleanse the space, or when you're about to do a ritual, usually you'll burn sage first to have as a blessing to get rid of those bad spirits and any unwanted energy. Well, I actually have sage as well too in the blend, so you're literally internally taking it in.
That
like
is
your
so
womb is
cool.
getting saged.
I love that.
Yeah.
So as you're sitting on this wonderful pot of herbs,
yes,
you feel, I feel like you've told me that I'm sitting in my power. What does that mean?
You are. So just in, doing something for yourself as a woman, specifically for your vaginal area, for your womb, and even for women who still don't, or who may have had a hysterectomy and where their womb was removed, you're still having that space in which you're needing to clear and cleanse. And so in that, our creativity, that's where it comes from, our intuitive intentions as well too. Spirit speaks to you through your womb. When you have specific desires, or like you all of a sudden you feel like you have a purpose that's put in you and you have to do this, you need to do this, and you can't explain why, it's actually your ancestors and spirit divinely talking to you through your womb.
Oh my goodness.
And it's for you to just act out, which you have been.
Girl.
You've been a master at this, actually. And I feel like in the way in which you come continuously, now that you're almost 12 steams in.
Yes.
I mean, look at how much profoundly your life has changed.
You are so right. And it truly did coincide perfectly. And the intuition part is something that I actually didn't know that steaming was helping me with. But 100% since I started steaming, I feel like my intuition is so much stronger and something that I'm more trusting of, something that I just actually get guidance from. And I'm like, okay, cool, I can follow this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that before we started this, Temar was telling me that she wanted to kind of go into my journey a little bit, because together we kind of like brought me to this point in life, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically, when I started steaming, I was still full-time working for the job that I was at. So working for other people, I was doing Chris Taylor on the side. And it was like a distant dream to be able to go on my own. Yeah. And I think that as I was telling her, it was something that I really, really wanted. I just felt like I had no idea how it was possible.
Right. Or believing
Yeah.
that it is.
Absolutely. And then just seeing the business that you created, first of all, already inspired me. And then, yes, I think that it's so awesome what you're doing. And you're really helping people and healing people, which is magical. And she's telling me that I'm sitting in my power. I already had a pretty good grasp on how manifesting worked. So I'm like, okay, extra manifesting power. We're working with her.
Yeah, and at this point, you come in with all your crystals, your journal book, and she uses this time.
Yes. Okay, so the first time I came in, I was already painting a picture for you. We scheduled a day for me to shoot Temar in her element in her studio with all of her pots and crystals and stuff. And as soon as I walk in, I'm like, whoa, the energy in here is impeccable. Like, I am inspired by the energy that you're setting forth here. She has water with lemons in it, little snackies for me. She has like the crystals all around, like wonderful smells going on. And I just loved it. And so at the end of it, since it was new moon time,
Mm.
you handed me the little like steam room journal.
Yeah.
And you're like, I want you to set your intention because it needs to be written down on paper. I don't care where you write it, but since you like don't have anything, here's the journal, like set it. So I'm like, oh, I love this. Yes, like setting it. So I think it could be pretty interesting to see what I wrote that day.
I know. Actually, I should go back.
Yeah, so I am pretty sure it had something to do with dreaming of being on my own and being able to pursue my business on my own. And then the guidance cards, the goddess deck. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so really I feel like, why I've gotten to the point that I have in being successful in a sort of like a short amount of time it's the experience. Like, this is your journey. This is for you to come and experience and be either supported by, be touched by, be healed by, whatever it is that you're going through. And that you just come as you are, and then you're supported. And then so I feel like in really setting those intentions and helping others to see that is by doing like little things, by writing, or by like having your crystals, by like all these other tools. There's so many tools for us that we don't even realize. And everything is already within us as well too. It's just that I'm helping to bring it out.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And so at the end of every steam, we have...
Yeah, goddess guidance cards. And it's really just about getting guidance. Like, we all need guidance in our life. There's always something we're not sure if we should do this adventure or do this venture or start this new business or, a lot of times just what direction to even go in, or like, should I get involved in this relationship? I don't know. Should I move into this new place? I don't know. Like, it's just so nice to have something in which can bring you more guidance or more clarity.
That's so true. And I think you might be one of the first people that introduced me to what guidance cards were through that.
Okay.
I was like super open to it. I'm like, what do I do? Like, yes, I want to do this. And now I love guidance cards. I have a couple of decks of my own, but I just wanted to share what my first guidance card that I pulled after you shuffled and everything. It was Diana, and it said, focused intention. Keep your unwavering thoughts, feelings, and actions focused on your target, and you will make your mark.
And girl did.
Girl, I was like emotional when I read that. I don't remember if I cried, but I definitely wanted to, because I was so setting my heart on, would it be possible for me to go full time on my own? And it just answered me like, yes, girl.
Yeah.
You can. Just keep your intention solid and like, you got this. And Temar really got to see me do it.
Yeah. And it was like, what was so amazing about it for you as well too is that your intention was then set, and this is what I want. And then the universe started conspiring with it, right? And giving you that opportunity for you to come into that place in which you wanted to.
You're so right. And like everything
like the universe conspires to make it happen. So the more you're detail oriented with your intentions, the more it will get answered.
I love that. And you're so right. The universe is the freaking master organizer. It'll put things into play that's actually benefiting other people. And it's like, the little thing that's happening over here for me is totally benefiting this other person for their intention. Like, it's so cool. It's a beautiful, wonderful cycle that's just like perfect.
Yeah. And the more that you get like in tuned and more aligned with it, the more it's just almost effortless as well too, right? Like, it's almost been effort, or I mean, I know it's been a lot of effort. It's been a lot of work, but at the same point, in like you getting to just where you are within like a couple months, I feel like almost of the time span.
Yeah.
Right?
It was really like aligned, and I think that the universe truly brought us together at that barbecue because it was in the perfect timing for all of this to unleash. It was like helping me on my journey to get there.
Totally. And you helped me to look so professional. Those pictures are good.
I love when my clients like, use their photos, and Temar truly utilized the crap out of that shoot, and I'm so grateful. Like, I see the photos all the time, and I'm just like, yes, you look so good, sister. Like, I'm here for it.
Yeah, and it's really important as well too. Like, just as having a business and showing face and really showing up. And so for me, especially being a woman of color, it's and being the first certified vaginal steam facilitator on Oahu.
Whoop, whoop.
So being educated as well, it's been so empowering as well too. To show up in this way and be able to show up for others and be able to be like, listen, you can have this too. Whatever you desire, it's within you. It's for you to have already.
So awesome, and I'm so proud of you and this journey that you've created and how you're helping people and you're lit up by it. Like, you have truly inspired me in this whole process in many, many ways.
Yeah.
In teaching me how to use manifesting better, in just being you and me being able to see you killing it. It's like, I just love it. And I truly look at Temar as like a master manifester. Like, she's like my like guru who like teaches me stuff.
Yeah.
And like, she tells me stories about like how she's manifested certain things through this whole journey. I'm sure you might be able to tell, but we totally become friends like behind the scenes. And after my stream, sometimes we'll just talk story and stuff. But tell me, like, okay, I'm so excited. You helped me manifest this place that we're sitting in right now.
Yes.
And your story of you manifesting your place really helped that. So please tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So my favorite time is new moon. I love new moon. And it's so funny because, typically you would actually think a new moon's not special because it's completely dark and you don't get to see it. It's a time in which you actually don't see the moon, and which is really similar to our wombs as well too. You don't actually see our wombs. It's a dark cavity is how it's expressed in the dictionary.
Jeez.
Yeah, it is. It's a dark holding place, and just like also plants too, when they're growing from underground, they're growing in the dark. That's how everything is started. That's how seeds are formed, is within the dark.
Crazy.
Yeah, so it's things that you're not even seeing actually, and that's why it's a manifestation, because it's something that becomes. It's something that you don't initially see in the beginning, or you don't understand how you're going to get there or how you're going to get it. But you set those intentions, you plant those seeds, and over time it'll grow. And then you see it happen for you, and you're like, wait a minute, how did I get to this point? And it's like, oh yeah, I set those intentions, yeah, but I didn't believe it was going to happen. So for me, I feel like so much of my life is when I believe. And I believed that I would have a house or I would have a home in which I would be able to provide that service and business from. And so I started looking at places, and this also was in a time in which I just got a boyfriend.
Okay, wait.
So we were only together 3 months.
Were you and your wonderful man, who I'm just so happy for her for, he seems so, I've met him and he's super cool.
Yeah.
But just hearing like what he's done for you, I'm like, love him for you.
And that's also manifested.
Okay, no, that's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with the manifesting story of Steven, and then go into the house.
Okay, yeah. So for me personally, like, relationships were not a thing. I was like not about it. It just wasn't. I was like, nope, I'm basically going to be alone. Like, that's my deal. That's just how it's going to be. And because also I thought that I actually had to have all these things first to be able to have a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I needed to have clear, perfect skin. And I thought I needed to be this size, And I think that sometimes as women, we really do that a lot of times. And so we just kind of settle, or we just go with whatever comes along.
Yeah.
I've been there, trust me.
Same, sis.
Right? And at this point, I was just like, no, I'm just going to be alone. Like, forget all this. I'm not dealing with, like, BS and fuck boys and all the drama and whatever, just like, and it's less than too. And I could feel that. And I felt that, like, within my womb space, especially once I was actually starting to steam and really get into the practice and knowing, like, oh, now I'm honoring myself. Now I actually have to do something different. I got to try a different situation, a whole different type of outlook. And I actually stopped seeing anybody at all. I was like, nope, I'm just going to be clean, celibate. I'm going to be good to her. We're going to treat her right. And then I was feeling that, it would be nice to have somebody in my life who could help me. Especially in getting to a place that I want to, because I don't think I could, really financially or physically or mentally do it all on my own, especially like trying to make it in Hawaii as a single person is hard.
Yeah.
Already on its own. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll just like have this one last date, because I was already planning on moving off island too. I was like, this is just not working out for me here. I'm not getting what I wanted and need, which I purposely came here in seeking to work in alternative holistic healing. And then finding out about vaginal steaming totally changed my world, obviously, and that now I totally service it here on island.
So you already manifested, well,
Yeah.
not at that point, but
Right.
you totally have manifested that, which was your ultimate dream of being here as well.
Right.
Which is super cool.
Yeah, totally. In working in holistic, alternative, something.
Yes.
Not even knowing that yoni steam, vaginal steaming was even a thing.
Yeah.
Previously.
So awesome how it works out like that. But
Yeah.
okay, so tell me more about the man.
So I'm like, okay, let's just like go back on Tinder, see what's up, try to have a date, I guess. Why not? Like a last dinner date, because I'm only going to be here a couple more months or something. And then I decided at this point that I'll go for what I would not normally go for.
Seems to work sometimes.
Yes.
It's like if it wasn't working continuously before, maybe you can switch things up a little bit.
Or try something new, try a different flavor with type of guy. I don't know.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I did a lot of swiping like left and then did a few right, and it just so happened to be a guy that I wasn't like, I was like, I don't know, we'll see how it goes, whatever, not so interested. But the first moment when we actually met, and I would always make sure too that when I was starting to meet guys on Tinder, that we would actually have a phone conversation first.
Okay, cool.
Where that's not typical.
and just to confirm, through all of this, you're also in your intention setting of this is going to be a really good guy. Yeah.
I mean, at least in that it's going to be something different than what I've definitely experienced previously, which wasn't necessarily good. So
yeah.
It had to be a good guy because it needed to be different than what I was experiencing.
I feel you.
And so when I actually saw him in person, the first thing I thought, I was like, oh no, I'm in trouble. Just because I thought, I was like, okay, he's good looking. He's like a man. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, this is something new. This is way different for me. And then I don't even exactly remember what we even talked about, but I remember even within the first date, he had introduced me to his, I guess, cousin. I was like, okay, already meeting family members. But that's totally how it is too here, Hawaii style. They're all related anyway. It doesn't matter. There's somebody they're gonna know.
Yeah.
Especially when out in public.
Totally.
And then so I don't know, it just like continued on from there. And actually I think within the first week of meeting him, I asked him, I found out that he was a handyman. I was like, oh, yes, please. Because that's what I really needed in my life. I needed somebody to, like, help me to build what I wanted of these chairs, of these steam thrones, and really to help me to, like, build that life as well, too. Because eventually I want my own sanctuary, and it's going to have to be built.
Yes.
So knowing that he can do all of this, I was like, oh, okay, great. So within that first week, I actually asked him if he could build me a steam chair.
And what did he say?
I already put him to the test, right? And he said yes. He said he would. So
and he really did it.
Yeah, and he really did it.
If you guys ever go get steamed, just know that you're sitting on the thrones built by her hardworking dad.
Yes. Yeah, and I helped a little. So in having something that we actually like built together, so he's already helping to build the foundation of what is going to support me and what is really like the main tool to also my business. So it was like there's already so much intention and so much going on within that first week.
That is so cool. When you know, you know.
I know, right? And then I'm just like, no, now next level. Now I need a place. Now I need to have the space to be actually able to provide this.
And yes, tell me about your list.
Yeah, so I already knew that like a new moon was a really good time of setting intentions and writing lists for things that you're wanting to happen. So I actually had him sit down with me at 3 months of being together, which seems crazy, like talking about it definitely. But I'm like, okay, so you need a different living situation. I definitely need a different living situation because we were both kind of in temporary living situations. And I'm like, I want my own place. Like, and I want my own place to where I can also have my own business within my home. And so he was like, okay, you can start looking because I don't have the time to do that because he works basically Monday through Friday and his hours, you never know. So I'm just like starting to look and I'm like, okay. And I'm kind of that person who's like, okay, everything is an opportunity. So I'm going to put in an application for that place if I do like it, even though I don't think that it's like maybe my dream. I'm just still going to go for it and try. And actually I was like pushing him to apply for this one place and he was like, in the same way which your man was, he was like, no. This is not it. But when you are just like desperate, you're just like in that dream. When you're in that dream, all you see is like you're in tunnel vision almost, where you're like, no, just having my own space is already going to be so magical.
And I think a lot of what you mean by that and what you inspired me hugely with is having a 2-bedroom place so that you can have one room dedicated to the business and one room for, of course, the sleeping.
Right.
And like your living space.
Yeah.
And so.
And then it all works. Girl. It all works.
Yeah, so seeing hers really inspired me because before I was living in a studio, so literally one room and with my partner for a time. At first it was by myself, but then he moved in and I'm like, this is not enough space. So then I was like, I'm okay with like a 1-bedroom, but meeting Temar and going into her beautiful home and seeing that she made this like her work room and like for her business, I'm like, I want a 2-bedroom. Yeah. Okay, so then we're both in a similar field, just at different times, because she did this way ahead of me. But it's like, just going into any 2-bedroom that's like remotely okay. For me, I was like at terrible ones, and I'm like, let's just do it! Like, jump on it! Yes! And my boyfriend too was like, no! Like, we need to keep looking, like, this isn't it, and I'm like getting all like bent out of shape. Like, I like really
do you want to live with me?
And he's just like, this isn't it. Yeah. So he was feeling like that with you.
Yeah, totally. And like it was perfect because they were holding us out for like really what was more meant for us, right? Especially coming together, right? Because it was both of our first homes in maybe, I don't know for you, but like in really going into like a relationship that we fully are trusting into as well too. And like wanting to grow. Yes. Not out of just like obligation or just like, okay, we're together, so we should probably live together type of thing. And like, let's just find anything that's affordable. But like, no, let's like make a life.
And like, this is going to be our home. Like, this is going to be this thing that we build together.
Right.
Okay, wait. I know that it's just so exciting. But you have to tell them about the list because I think that they can use the list.
Okay. So when you're making a new moon intention list, you want to be really specific. And so in my list, I said I wanted a 1-level house. There was 2 bedrooms that had a dining room area that had a full living room. I wanted wraparound windows. I needed windows in every single like room of the house, like the bathroom especially too. That was like big for me. And that I needed as well too. I wanted space. I wanted extra space and storage space. So like it's really random in how it all worked out for us. But I wanted to be able to have a garden. I specifically even like we drew a little picture to it too. And it was a house, and then I had my boyfriend's truck. I was like, parking is key. We all need a parking spot.
Especially in Hawaii. Yeah. It's important.
It really is. And so we got 1 parking spot. I should have asked for 2. Yep, next. That's next. The next is going to be endless parking.
Endless!
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I also had put in that I specifically wanted a tree for my hammock. So I'd never owned a hammock, and I was like, of course, paradise. Your typical dream, you gotta have a hammock in it.
You're so funny.
Yeah, so I got all of those things. And the one thing we didn't have was a dryer hookup. There was a washing machine, but there wasn't a dryer. And so Steven made that happen. He like, through his business in which he does, he gets to meet a lot of people, contractors and stuff like that. And so he got to know this electrician, and the electrician like came out the next weekend. And so now,
girlfriend, you're gonna have to give me You're gonna have to give me the connects to that because
Yeah.
that is one thing that I don't have
Okay.
here. But anyway,
can make it happen though.
Yes.
Can make it happen. That was the thing.
Okay, so what was it like walking into your place for the first time?
Okay, so I actually walked into it alone. My
Uh-huh.
boyfriend wasn't with me, but the amount of just like space and how bright and the windows and like it was everything in which my list was. I was like, is this real? I was the first person also to be seeing this place. Nobody else had saw it. They literally just listed it.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I was the first person to see it, and it was through a property management, which they just took over as well too. So it was actually their first rental.
Uh-huh.
So I almost feel like they were like, yeah, sure, whatever, here you go.
yeah.
In a way. But, and I actually got a reading on it too, just to like, I really was like, okay, let's check this out, let's make sure. And the
Like tarot?
Yeah, I got a tarot card reading. Okay. And I learned that the tarot card reader that I was getting this reading done from, she had other intentions. And so you have to be careful as well too. Like sometimes you're going to work with people and it just may not click, or you just may feel like, okay, I want to listen to what they're having to say, but I don't know if I really trust or believe it.
Uh-huh.
Well, listen to that intuition.
Yeah.
Basically, she was in a way kind of trying to divert me from going through with getting this place, but it was trying to throw me off of my, like, what my gift was in a way and what was being given to me.
Interesting.
Right, but which I saw that she intentionally wanted probably something of that as well too. She wasn't receiving herself. So I was like, okay.
So how did you get past that?
So I waited I waited a little while where somebody else could have taken it in the time.
But it was meant for you.
No, it was meant for me.
Yeah.
It was my blessing.
Yes.
And so I told Steven about it. I showed him a video. It wasn't even a clear video. And he was like, okay, if you believe that this is the one, then I'll put a deposit on it.
Oh my God, he loves you.
Yeah. I know. I was like, are you sure? Like, this is crazy. And I have never had somebody in my life, especially of a man, show up for me in this way.
He literally didn't even see this after 3 months of being with you, and he's like, I trust you, baby. Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
And he knew that it was all really for me as well, too, because I'm wanting to build my business.
Yeah, that's so true. And I'm sure that the energy that you're putting towards this one versus the one that you were like, let's do it.
Yeah.
But like more like just like desperately, let's do it.
Yeah.
He was like,
true.
okay, I see the difference. Like, I trust you.
Yeah. Totally, you're so right, because that's the same case for you.
Yeah, totally. And then it's like, I mean, for me here, like I said, I was inspired by her with having a workspace, so I really wanted a 2-bedroom so that I could have my own office, which was like a freaking pipe dream.
Right.
I'm like, really? This is possible?
We limit ourselves so much on what we really actually can achieve and have.
Like, you've inspired me so much in that, too. Like, wait, she actually has this. Like, could I actually have this? Like, yes. Yeah. And it's, like, ridiculous because I actually pay less here than what I was paying when I was living in the studio by myself.
Shut
and
up.
I'm, like, in heaven. Like, but, yeah. And it's just so nice to have men that, like, it's possible, ladies.
Yeah,
to have
it is.
a man that loves you and supports you. And it's, like, I mean, of course someone will come and sit in my office and, like, talk to me while I'm working, but that room is 100% for me.
Yeah.
You know? And he's, like, willing to, like, just, like, split everything with me and let me have that space because he, like, supports me and he loves me. And same for you.
Yeah. And it's also in what's, bringing in the other income as well, too. So, hey, you
That's
better
true.
give me my space.
Accurate.
Yeah.
Especially for you because you actually have a lot of people coming in.
Yeah.
For me, it's, like, could have been wavering on that. Like, but
True.
I'm grateful.
Yeah, but to be able to have that creative space and be able to, like, come to this place where you can sit down and it's yours. I think that's also so rare. We don't get that a lot of times in life, and that you have your own space to be able to create however you want, do whatever you want within it. And it's just like it keeps growing. And I feel like in the more that you come to that place in which you've manifested, it's only going to keep happening more because you see, oh, this is just a little bit. This is just the beginning.
You're so right. And then, like, going back to you making your list of exactly what you wanted, one day after my steam, I was opening up that we would like to have more space. And she's like, okay, well, you need to go home with your man, sit down and write your intention list of exactly what you want and make sure you're specific. Like, she's like emphasizing, like, be specific because you're going to get what you want. So make sure you say exactly what it is. And so we totally did that. And I also successfully manifested pretty much every single thing on my list. I think that I was definitely throwing in a couple of things that were like totally just like, I mean, if I want to just make it like everything, I'm like going to put these, but they weren't really like in my heart, something that I really desired. But the things that were important to me, I got every single one. Like good airflow. That's such a big one for me for some reason.
I remember, you kept saying that.
I like love fresh air over AC any day.
Absolutely.
So, and in my last place, I had like the most intense wind coming through the window, which I was grateful for. And that was something I really wanted here. And I totally got that. And just everything I wanted. I'm like just so grateful and thankful for you because you really opens me up to receiving so much through the steaming and through just living your best life and letting me observe that and be like, ah, ding, possibilities. Like, wow, I love it. And I'm just so thankful.
I'm thankful. And I think it's so empowering as well, too. Especially we can inspire others just through our own actions.
Yes.
Or just like how we're living our own lives. Like, that's endless.
That is so cool. Yes, you're so right. I love that, too. It's like, just being in this aligned space where you're just enjoying yourself is actually serving the world because you're so happy that other people can see that and be like, wow, like, what is she doing? Like, why is she so, like, light, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's like they can maybe, like, just be inspired. Like, it's like, it's not like you were like, Krista, you should live your life like me. Like, it was nothing like that. It was just 100% me being like, whoa, you are killing it, sis. And you make me believe it's possible for me to have a fraction of that, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's the huge difference, especially like within today's world, with influencers. A lot of times, it's, you know, with especially like people just coming into the business world or like understanding, oh, I can manifest or I can have these things. A lot of the times the first intention is, oh, I just need to have it. I need to get it. Not like, how can I cultivate this into my life and where it works out for me as well, too. A lot of, I feel like young people are trying to miss steps as
like
well,
just
too.
force things.
Yeah, like all these platforms, these ML platforms we have going on now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where almost every influencer is already saying like, oh, I have the best life, oh, I'm already living my greatest life, and like that might be a part of it, but like also sharing that journey and how you got there and what made you become to have that, right? And then that's when it's more realistic for others to be like, oh, I can have this. I don't just already have to be at this level, and then it happens.
I think that I just kind of came to this epiphany while you were talking, but I think that you living your best life and how I'm saying I'm inspired by that is like, that gives other people like the ability to believe it's possible, because I think manifesting is really about believing it's coming, believing you can have it. And before that, it's like, it just felt so far off of like, that's not happening. But then seeing you, it's like, she's literally doing that shit. So that means that I could literally do that too. And then I had more of like a belief behind my intention and like this could happen. And I think that that's why it did.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like when you really are trusting, like, oh, this is what I want. This can happen for me. It will.
Yeah. You're so right.
But a lot of times we doubt ourselves and we think that, oh, well, I financially don't make enough money to even be able to have that 2-bedroom. So I'm not even going to think about it. It's not even going to be on my radar. It's not even going to be part of my list. And it's like, why not?
So true. There is a way. And as long as you can trust that, which is why you should surround yourself with awesome people, because then you can just have that belief more so. Yes. Because like getting to know you more, it's like, as like a girlfriend, I'm like, girl, like, wait, you're just like not a regular girl, but like, it's like
I'm pretty basic.
I'm like, if you're doing it, then it's definitely like possible for me too, which is super cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate you so much, and thank you so much for coming on here. I'm so stoked. And I have been seeing some things that you've been talking about. I know that you have been selling these candles, which I love. There's a crystal in there. Just saying.
And it's a good thing too. You can light in setting your intentions.
Cool.
Because there are intentions set in there. The more that you just have intentions with every act that you're doing, like waking up in the morning and just saying thank you, just being grateful, it's going to help to change your day. You know, just like the little things, especially too when you're manifesting and just already saying thank you for having this.
Yes.
Like for me, forever it was having a car, and I'm like, thank you for having the Subaru and my moonroof. Girl, I got it all.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So it's just believing, and just it doesn't matter how long it takes, just keep believing.
I love that. Even with like the waking up, being like, thank you for giving me such a beautiful, perfect day. It's like that'll already set the intention to have such an awesome day.
Yeah.
But okay, please plug everything you want from Punani school to the shop and everything.
Yeah.
And coming to see you. Tell them where they can find you.
Okay, so I am on Oahu in Palolo Valley, and that's where my home studio is right now. And you coming and experiencing what's vaginal steaming. Also, men can do it too. Actually, I have 6 men who have done it now. So
Super cool.
Super excited, which I'm specifically doing for fertility couples.
Oh,
so
cool.
Couples that are wanting to come in, hey, it's just as equal as that the man has to be there and participate to make it happen too. So
yeah, I love that.
They can come and get this healing, and it's really relaxing for men. So I'm in Palolo Valley. I also have products that I'm starting to, or that I do sell. So I have candles, aroma candles, which have some amazing intentions set in there for you. I have roll-on blends of oils as well too, and just having more support for you and whatever you're going through. I have 3 specific blends women really love. I know you really like the sacral chakra.
Yes, really quick side note. Her sacral chakra essential oil roll-on. By the way, these also have crystals in them because she's amazing. But I have struggled with having UTIs, and my old plan was like to take like medicine and like drink a bunch of water and like cranberry pills and like all of these like pills.
Yeah.
But now I literally roll on her sacral chakra blend on my lower back and like just on my tummy. I know you didn't tell me to do that, but I just like give me the extras. And then I'm like, I drink some water and it like goes away. It's magical.
Yeah, it's really amazing, and just, using natural products. That's really what I'm about. I'm all about using herbs as remedies.
Yes.
And so that's what my products are doing. So I have the essential oil roll-ons, which also one of my blends is really amazing for PMS. It really does help. Like we're used to taking, like you said, pharmaceuticals, ibuprofen, whatever off the counter, and still that's only like covering the symptoms, not actually dealing with the issue.
Yeah.
So using essential oils is another amazing part. And then I have bath salts. Bath salts are also another amazing thing for us to do as women, just soaking in a bath, giving yourself that time, right? And then I have herbs in those bath salts. I use 3 different salts. There's crystals, there's essential oils. It's all the goodness, and it's really important for soaking your vulva, the outside of your vagina. You want to take care of her.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so I have essential oils, candles, bath salts, and I'm also selling yoni steam herb blends, so you can steam at home.
Exciting. Okay, and tell them where they can find you so that they can reach out to book their steam.
Yes, punanisteam.com. Please go to my website, also Punani Steam IG, my Instagram. You can book from there. That's basically where my gallery of everything that I'm doing right now in my life really is.
Yes, go
so
there.
Definitely follow me on IG for sure. And that's where I announce a lot of things, where I do my lives and different things as well too.
I love it. I'm so happy for you and how your business has grown too since I've known you.
Yeah.
And I'm just so stoked for you living your purpose and just living such a wonderful life. I'm so, so happy for you and so grateful for what you've done for me and what you continue to do for other people. And I know you'll keep inspiring me and teaching me little tidbits of things as time goes on. So I'm stoked for that.
Yeah.
But yes, just thank you for coming on to the podcast. I'm so happy.
Yes, mahalo. And I'm so excited because I actually just celebrated 2 years in business.
Congratulations.
In Women's History Month as well too. And then we're doing this in Women's History Month.
I love it. Yes.
Yes.
Well, if you guys enjoyed this, please go follow both of us. You can find me at Abundant Feminine for the podcast, and my personal is Krista Chambers, and episodes come out every other Monday, so keep an eye out, and thank you so much for being here. You could be anywhere, and you chose to listen to this, and I'm just grateful. So have a beautiful day, ladies.
Aloha.
Bye.